What's going on, everybody? Marvel the Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback. And today, folks, we are looking at Marvel Team Up issue number 1. This issue came out in March of 1972. And today, folks, we're going to see Spider-Man team up with the Human Torch as they fight the sinister Sandman. It's going to be a pretty cool thing to look at here. We're starting a brand new series here. We're going to be looking at the Marvel Team Up Volume 1 series here. There's 150 issues in this series, and we're going to be looking at each issue one at a time here. So why not look at issue number 1, where it all began? This series is also connected to the Amazing Spider-Man series. So it's going to kind of coincide with the Amazing Spider-Man storyline that we're looking at in volume number 1. And so from here on out, folks, you need to just kind of pay attention to what things are going on in Amazing Spider-Man, because some things in Amazing Spider-Man will tie into this series as well. And so today's title is Spidey and the Torch Together. And this is a Christmas issue as well. So we have a pretty cool issue here looking at. This is going to take place Christmas Eve here. This issue is brought to you by Stan Lee, who wrote this issue. We have Roy Thomas on the writing. And we actually have Ross Andrew on the artwork here. And I think this is his first time drawing Spider-Man, if I can be correct. Don't take my word for it, but I think that's what it is. So we begin the issue off, and we have a bunch of people on the beach. And it's kind of weird how these people are on the beach when it is December. It's December 24th, Christmas Eve. Peter Parker has been sent on a photo assignment by J. Jonah Jameson to take some photos of these people going to the beach. For some reason, they get into the water. This woman starts to freak out because she feels like there's a tentacle of sand moving. Well, that just so happens to be the Sandman here. As we see here, he's going to take form. He's in his unique costume. At this time, he was a part of the Frightful Four. And so Sandman has been more of a Fantastic Four villain than a Spider-Man villain at this point in time. And so Peter Parker realizes that the Sandman is on the loose here. So he's going to run and change into Spider-Man here. These cops are not able to take him down because, again, he's Sandman. He can change his body into sand anytime he wants to. It's a cold day, and Peter is shivering to death, but he has a job to do, and that is to take down Sandman. And so he's going to do his work here. He surprises Sandman by attacking his back here, but Sandman is then going to make some quick work out of Spider-Man here. Spider-Man mentions that it's Christmas Eve, and that takes Sandman by surprise, causing him to lose his focus. Spider-Man then webs up Sandman, but then Sandman disappears by going back underground here. And so Spider-Man is swinging through the city. He notices that time is of the essence here because he has a date with Gwen later on, and he has to give her his Christmas present. Well, Spider-Man thinks he needs to go to someone that is a Sandman expert, and who better to go to than the Fantastic Four. So he goes to the Baxter Building, and he almost runs into fire rings here. Spider-Man and the Human Torch, if you haven't been paying attention or haven't read the early issues of the Silver Age of like Strange Tales and Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man and the Human Torch have really had a hard relationship. They've kind of been enemies early on in the relationship, but at this point, they kind of coincide and they respect each other for who they are. And we're going to see here how both of these members, both of these stars here, are going to team up together, and they're going to try to track down Sandman because Spider-Man tells the Human Torch that Sandman is in town. So they go into this Fantastic car, and this is an old model of the Fantastic car, an early model. And they go to the George Washington Bridge because that was where Sandman was last seen a couple of years ago, and they think that he has a hideout there. So they start looking, and lo and behold, as they're flying, they notice that there's a bunch of muggers going to try to attack this woman here. And So Spider-Man's going to swing on down and he's going to take quick work out of these guys while the Human Torch is watching from above. And so we have this woman here, and I was looking, and this just so happens to be the first appearance of Misty Knight. She doesn't even have her name in this issue, but apparently this is her first appearance. And I didn't know that, but I looked it up. And so here's her first appearance right here. And so he swings back into the Fantastic Car with the Human Torch. They're still looking for Sandman when all of a sudden we see this tractor trailer he's sliding on ice here. So the Human Torch is now going to do his work to save this truck from colliding into this Corvette. And as he does, I mean, he barely was able to push on the brakes to prevent that collision here. And so we see here that Spider-Man and Human Torch are finally going to locate Sandman here. And this is where we're going to see a majority of the battle take place in this issue, is towards the end here, where the Human Torch and Spider-Man finally team up. Because it wouldn't be a team-up issue if they didn't actually team up and fight a villain. So we see that Sandman is going to be like, oh, you again. And he has to deal with the Human Torch as well. We notice here that Sandman has extra gadgets up his sleeve, as he can cause his body to become rock hard. He can cause a sandstorm with his new suit here that he came from the Wizard, who is another member of the Frightful Four. So Spider-Man saves the Human Torch here from that sandstorm. And again, the Sandman is able to escape. And he then is going to hog tie Spider-Man and the Human Torch, and he throws them into this water tower. And he tells the Human Torch to keep his chin up, almost as if he wants them to escape this. And I wonder why. I just wonder why. And we don't really get an answer. So we see that Spider-Man allows the Human Torch's face to dry off just an amount of time so that he can flame on. He's then going to then blow a fireball, causing the rope to disintegrate, and then they're going to be able to escape that water tower. They break the bonds here, and they're going to go after Sandman here. And Sandman didn't get too far. He's going into this little house here. That's kind of strange. They're like, why is he going in here? Well, we see here that he's come to visit his mother. His mother's been sick, and he tells them that every Christmas he comes to visit them, or really Christmas Eve, he comes to visit her no matter what. And he says, look, the docs don't know that I'm a crook. Don't spoil it for me this Christmas, all right? And they both agree not to do it. And Spider-Man gives Sandman the present that he was going to give to Gwen Stacy. And so they both go out the window. They're going to wait for 5 minutes, and they tell him, you better go back to jail. And he said, okay, I will. I'll walk back to jail like a little lamb. Spider-Man's like, well, I was going to give that present to Gwen, but after seeing Sandman's mother, it reminded me of Aunt May. Well, 5 minutes passes by. Sandman is nowhere to be seen. So they start to notice that Sandman actually escaped by going into that drain here in the sink. So Sandman got away, but all things considered, it is Christmas Eve, and they will catch him next time. And so that is how we end this issue, folks. I hope you liked it. It's the very first issue of Marvel Team Up. It's a classic issue. It's definitely a classic and a collector's item to collect. And so that is how we end this issue, folks. We'll be looking at issue number 2 coming up next. But before then, go ahead now and give a like on this video. Comment down below what you liked about this issue, and subscribe if you have not. And I will see y'all in the next one.